Hey, Izzy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Are you in London?
Yes, I'm not in London. I'm actually in Turkey right now, but work is
Right.
in
Yeah,
London.
your pictures look like Turkey or vacation. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, exactly. Mentally work-wise in London.
Yeah. I
How
guess that
about
makes
you?
sense. How's Turkey?
It's amazing.
You're Turkish, right?
Yeah, my parents are Turkish. I mean, the vibes are so good. So it's like a nice beach and you can get into like this cool routine in the summer of like swim in the morning and then keep like working and
Yeah, the pricing isn't even bad there, right? Just to
it's
live.
getting quite high now.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like picked up, but yeah.
I guess that's like the rest of the world.
Exactly. How about you? How's life?
Honestly, busy, interesting. I guess fun too. When it gets busy and
Yeah.
interesting, it's more fun than nothing. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
I call this the useful podcast because it's supposed to be useful for me, useful for you, and useful for the listener. So yeah, I'll just get right into it. I just want to
Okay. Sounds
introduce you a
good.
bit. Izzy is, I guess you're the CPO of Wealth AI. You're an artist, you're a musician, and now I guess you've recently become the co-founder of Wealth AI. You've done a couple of other things in the past, a lot of different things. So yeah, I guess before all of that, I was kind of curious, as a kid, what was it really like? How did you even get into music?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. Yeah, how did I get into music? I mean, my parents kind of forced me into music when I was like 3 years old. And then after that, I was like really not into it. And then one day I was 8 or 9 years old and I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna go back into this. I want to look cool for for the kids at school. So I started playing piano again and then I did musical theater like all throughout actually my childhood. And it was like my creative outlet. I realized I really like to create new things and bring new kind of ideas to the world. So it really started as a kid, I think, this whole thing of creativity and creating something.
Was there
Yeah,
like
and
a
then go ahead.
Yeah, was there like an inspiration or an influence that or like a musical influence?
I don't think so, honestly. I just wanted to look cool at the beginning. And then I
I mean,
realized
after
that I
that though,
liked it.
yeah, how'd you even, I guess to like something, you need to master it, right? Or you need to start getting good at it to start liking it. I guess kind of curious where that happened. And yeah,
Yeah, there was that whole competitive nature because in musical theater, you're trying to get the role, the top role always. And I mean, that was my personality. I wanted to be like the star of the show. So yeah, I was constantly going to lessons and trying to be better so that I could get voted as like the top role in the play and whatever. Yeah, it's a really interesting question because it's like the psychology of who you are now is quite determined by how you were as a
like,
kid.
yeah, I feel like like when you were a kid, it probably, like whatever you were looking forward to, whatever your goals
Yeah.
were, to some degree, kind of shaped who you became.
I mean, it sounds kind of shallow that I wanted to be like the main character.
I think that's everyone's
But
like
yeah.
dream. Everyone's the main character of their own life, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny that we've ended up here. Yeah, but no, 100%. And then once you're actually on the stage as that character that you've worked so hard for, then it just feels so good because you're like, okay, I've actually worked hard for this. I've ended up here. And then you have a crowd of people that stand up and start clapping for you. Then it's like, wow, I've actually done this. And it's like until that moment of when people notice you, and all the accomplishments you've done, maybe like clapping or views or whatever, that's the moment where it clicks like, wow, I've done this.
Yeah. And I mean, curious what went from like, I guess, performing to even creating your own music. That's probably a
Hmm.
different type of jump, right?
Yeah, actually, it was very random. I was just playing piano at a random cafe, and coincidentally, there was a guy there that owned a label, super
Wow.
random. And he was like, wow, you should, you know, create an album. And that's where it started. He signed me
Was
for songs,
okay.
and then I had to force myself to start creating like this new talent that I hadn't thought of before.
So was that like your first album or even before that?
Before that, I would always just like fiddle around on the piano and start recording things. But I never thought of the business side of music. It was just creating for fun. Yeah, it was just like by chance. And sometimes, there's the right person in the room that is there to push you towards something.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. I mean, I'm kind of curious how you actually, what's your process for making a song then? Like, what goes into it? How do you start it? How do you end it? Because singing is a
Yeah.
lot different from writing and producing.
No, 100%. I mean, yeah, writing music as well. Like, the only way I can write music, and it's taken me a long time to realize this, is only when I sit in front of a piano and just start like playing chords and just, I actually start recording on my phone, voice memos, and then something random comes out in those voice memos. And to me, while I'm singing it, it doesn't make sense. But then afterwards, when I listen to it, I realize that I've actually made an entirely coherent story. It's very cool. And then I listen to it, I'm like, wow, all of this actually makes entire sense. And I can come up with an entire song from sitting at a piano, playing with random chords and recording in 3, 4 minutes. I'll actually come with like an entirely coherent verse, chorus, verse, like, and
Do
maybe
you,
that's just because I've like figured out the math of it and now it's just autopilot, but it's interesting.
yeah, kind of curious. I mean, where does it come from
Hmm.
then? Like,
Where
I
does
like,
it come
because
from? Yeah.
music or songs are like, I think art is a
Hmm.
form of expression.
Hmm.
So, like, what do you, when you make music, you're expressing something, right? So, kind of curious how it even goes into that.
I guess before, when I was like in my early 20s, emotions are higher and sometimes you're experiencing things for the first time, first loves, like all of this stuff. Those are really emotional experiences. But as you grow older, like I'm almost 30, so
30 is a
and
new
having
20,
a bit
but
of a more stable life, and you can't really get too inspired by work and startup life too much. Well, not enough to like actually relate to the general population.
yeah.
Sometimes I actually watch movies and listen to the stories and start writing like the characters' journeys or their engagements or like how when they're talking with other people, and I start noting these down as potential stories I can start creating in my music.
Yeah, kind of curious because you said that. Now, do you feel like you can take inspiration from random stories or see yourself in random stories and that helps you like even do things? When I
Yeah,
say
I
random stories, I
mean,
mean like movies. Yeah, I
yeah,
guess.
no, for sure. Yeah, if I get really into a movie, sometimes I actually have to change my state of mind. Like when I'm so in the startup scene, I actually like stop drinking alcohol. Like I work out all the time. So I'm always in the state of mind of like performance and focus and all this stuff. So to get back into the music sense of a moment when people relax and enjoy life, I actually have to like maybe have like 2 or 3 drinks to change my mentality to actually relate to the state that people would be listening to music in.
That makes
It's
sense actually.
interesting. Yeah. And then you kind of look at like popular artists and they have to do that as well.
I guess what do you view your genre as? I was kind of listening to
Hmm.
I guess your most popular song. I
Nice.
liked it, but I don't know if if I would call it EDM or pop or I don't know what kind of how would you describe it?
I'm really into like indie alternative probably now.
Okay,
Yeah. Cause like I have a lot of vocals, so it's not super EDM and I want to
okay.
express a story. So it has to be, but I want to give off this like feel good when someone's listening to it. I want them to be either at the gym or at like a day beach club, enjoying life. Like I want to emanate positive vibes and be in someone's good moment.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's why
So
I didn't want to associate with like dark or metal or super sad. Yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, I guess and then you went to school. When you went to school, you did marketing and communications. So
Yeah.
from art to marketing and communications, and then I guess that transition kind of makes sense. But then from there to UX design and software, how does that like? How do you think it all lines up, or how did it line up for you?
You know, I watched a YouTube video. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a bit more. And it was this young guy, he was like 20, 22 or something. And it was a video on purpose planning. And he was like, how do you plan around your purpose in life? How do you figure out your purpose in life? It's a very good video. I'll find it and send it to you. And then I took a piece of paper and I took a lot of notes and I condensed it to things that I really like doing are, you know, music and creating and dancing and all of this stuff. And then he told me to also write down things that would make me money. And then I kind of did some research. It's like, okay, at that time it was like technology, AI was like really, really early at that point. It's like 5, 6 years ago. I wrote all of these down And then he said, between the things that you really like doing and the things that make money, find something in between and try and figure out the pattern of the things that you like doing and match it to something that would make money. The pattern of all the things I like doing was creating something and bringing something new to the world. And then I looked at things that make money. I was like, tech. Okay, I was like, how can I bring these two together? And then I was like, I can create something in tech.
In tech.
And I want to bring something new to this world. So I was like, okay, now it's a startup that I have to create. So then I went down this route of how do you create a startup? Okay, I have to solve a problem. So that's how I found myself actually. UX UI design is like creating something from scratch in the startup space. So I actually just spent like an entire year. I didn't go to school for UX UI design, to be like super honest. But at that time, Udemy had come out, which is a course learning platform. I spent 1 year, or I think it was a year and a half. I didn't look at any projects. I just fully focused on how do I become the best UX UI designer with the current tools that I have online. And right after that, I looked for some VC catalyst companies. Actually, that was a new trend at that time. Those are companies that help startups grow. And they always are partnering with like UX UI designers and putting them into startups. So at that moment, I was exposed to this huge network of startups, and he immediately gave me jobs because I had a great portfolio at the time, just off of like my designs that I've done just online from this course. And I found myself at a startup, and it was just so natural. And I loved what I was doing because it aligned to my purpose of creating something in the world and bringing something new to the world. And that's why I'm passionate about what I do. And I think why I've become successful, to be honest.
That makes sense.
It's
I
a big
guess,
rant, but yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, I was just gonna say because the way you lay out your career, right? It gets pretty wild, or how you start and where you go.
Yeah.
So like you started off doing what I guess music as a kid, and then PR in school,
Yeah.
and then you did a BBA, and then you suddenly went into tech as UX UI designer, and now you are the co-founder, a CPO of a wealth AI firm. So that's like almost a crazy transition. And
Mm-hmm.
how do you think you manage the jump between these different roles? And what do you think the biggest thing is even? Do you like do you like the change?
Yeah, no, for sure. And before, I think, doing marketing, until I aligned to the purpose of creating something, actually I had my first kind of creative role in marketing, because like 3-4 years ago. But before that, it wasn't aligned to creating something. I was just kind of a supporting role. Like I would support people to kind of grow their business, but it was never aligned to creating something from scratch. So once I found that I could use UX UI design and go into multiple different industries by creating a software for them, like designing their new software, it gave me like a channel where I could be in different kind of industries, but keeping the same role of UX UI design. Yeah. So it's quite interesting, but I guess before that I wasn't aligned to a purpose, so it never really clicked and it never moved to this path where I'm now continuing, and it will be stable for a while because I really enjoy what I'm doing. But until it clicked, until I did that purpose planning, found my thesis in life, I guess it was a bit scattered for sure.
I mean, and another thing I'm really curious about. I don't know if you've always been this way, but I feel like I mean, even from a distance, I can see this, but you're one of those people who, when you want something, you almost instantly go and get it somehow. It's like, it's not something a lot of people do and are trained to do. It's kind of like, where did that come from? Were you always like that? Or was that like a trigger moment that just changed everything?
Maybe it's my astrology side. Yeah, I don't know. It's like obsession, I guess. I think it's a character trait. Not everyone has it 100% of being ambitious. It's also a matter of proving something to myself that I can do it. Yeah, like for example, with tennis, how I came up with this hobby is it looked cool on a Pinterest like board. I pulled a picture from it. I put it onto my manifestation board, which I create one every year, and I put it as my phone desktop picture. Like you can see here, all the things that I want in life. So that Pinterest picture found its way onto my phone of a girl playing tennis. I looked at it every single day. I sucked at the time, this was a year ago. And I played every single day, like maybe actually 3 or 4 times if I had pain in my hand. But I sucked at the beginning. It was so embarrassing at the beginning, like first 2, 3 weeks. It comes to a point where you're like, okay, I should probably stop. Like the guy on the court next to me is just playing so well. It looks absolutely incredible. Like my jaw would drop just watching him. But I kept looking at that picture every single day on my phone. Like, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. It's going to suck, but I'm going to get there. And now it's like maybe a year has passed and I'm playing. I can get the ball across the net multiple times. It's in the moment, it sucks in the beginning, but I've noticed this pattern multiple times that when I keep doing something every single day, at some point, like maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 4 months, maybe it's 5 months, I actually do get there. So it's a validated concept in my mind that I can now repeat. So I guess the first one I couldn't do as well, but after every hobby, every experience, every startup, whatever, you realize that at some point it like clicks, it just happens.
And then you just keep going forward. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
how do
exactly.
you, the other thing is, I mean, I feel like even with your career and what you do, it's like, it's kind of going back to your mindset of if you want something, you go get it. But sometimes I feel like even with your career, you're almost, I feel like you're able to put yourself in rooms or in situations where sometimes you might not even belong. Right. So kind of curious how you even get your mindset around how do I do that? And how do you do that exactly?
That's a really good question. Yeah, your network is your net worth, 100%. It's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any feeling of embarrassment. If I feel someone's energy is like, I should probably talk to this person, or if someone in that room has said that guy's cool, you should probably talk to him. I'll make my way there and I'll find something. Maybe it's a watch or glasses or a shirt or something. I'll find an entry point to compliment that person generally and ask them questions about themselves. People love being asked questions about themselves, like what you're doing to me right now. And then you just start a conversation. And from there, just kind of contacting them, constantly messaging them and whatnot. I love sending people reels and memes. That's my natural CRM to keep people in touch,
In check.
in check. Yeah. So it's about not being embarrassed. Like life is so short. So if you want to talk to someone, just go up to them and talk to them.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose. Worst case, they think you're weird and they tell you to go away. But that almost never has happened to me. So
That makes sense. But yeah, I guess, how do you even, were you always that comfortable just being in any room?
no, I actually had extreme anxiety, as a doctor had told me at the time. But that was actually my turning point. It was someone told me you have a lot of anxiety, and I was like, okay, I can't live like this. It's something has to change. So I actually spent a lot of time there. That's when it clicked, where like I want to be in a mindset of I can talk to anyone, where I can be comfortable in my body. It took a long time. It's not as easy as I'm saying now, but once that clicked, I think, then I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing through it. It's just this constant reminder you have to tell yourself that it's no one really cares. Like if you look a certain way a different day or whatever, it's you just have to keep putting yourself out there. It's tough, but even rejection, things like this are difficult to handle as humans because we're people that seek validation and approval. It's our innate nature as human beings. If you just keep pushing past that, like I can handle rejection, saying things like affirmations, I can handle being put down, then you just, one day you do. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Then, I mean, I also think you're really good with social media in terms of understanding like different algorithms or how they work. I don't know if that comes from your experience at Karmic or, I mean, like with Reddit. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Kind of curious how'd you even learn that and what you think your skills are with that? Or, I mean, not skills. What do you think?
Hmm.
How'd you
Yeah.
learn how
No,
the
I
algorithm
understand what you
works?
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the algorithm's ever changing. So at the time when we started writing Reddit posts, it was actually just me and Paul at the time, as the founder of Karmic. There was a partnership that Google had done with Reddit, and that was to boost Reddit posts in the algorithm on the first page of Google. So whatever you kind of typed on Google, if there was a Reddit post about it, it would be pumped up to the first page. So we were lucky on that new change of algorithm, and we were able to really grow a business immensely through that. But through that, actually, that business, I learned how to write from user pain points. Because in Reddit, you have to write from the user of the tool. You can't write from the business owner. Otherwise, it's seen as promotional or fake or whatnot. So since we had so many different types of businesses that we had to write content for, I learned so many different pain points because I would write the pain points for these companies. And by writing pain points, actually, you really learn the problem that these companies are solving for. So that was a great experience for me to understand what things actually people relate to. And when things go viral, I can understand, wow, this is something that people really relate to. There's a huge problem in this area. That allowed me to really see patterns, especially in the social space of, okay, these are topics like, for example, shit posting is like a concept on Reddit where you could just post memes, and those are the things that you can boost accounts with on Reddit because that gets the most traction. So I realized that people like really dumb content online. It's not the super academic, the super thoughtful posts that we do that get traction, but like the shit posts that we do get the most
The memes,
attention.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's honestly. So that was an interesting realization. Or humor, for example, or realizing that the more grammar you put into a post makes it less relatable. And then, especially with videos, for example, video content, the more edited it was, the less reach it got. So we realized that, okay, the more authentic, the less grammatically correct you are, the more it gets boosted because it's just super relatable for everyone. It's very interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess that's where you learned, I guess, a lot of how you do your product, right? Figured out like all the different pain points. And then that probably helped you become a product designer after at MyFo. Kind of curious. I think you won an
Yeah.
award at MyFo, right?
Yeah, we won like a top design award, top user experience in North America or something along the lines of that.
Do you think, I
Yeah.
mean, would that award go to you or how does that work?
I guess I was the designer there, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you
What
think?
was your question?
Yeah. Just curious. What did you do at MyFo and how do you think that even helped you with what you're doing now?
Yeah. No, what I realized a lot, it's about talking to as many users as possible to figure out what you should be building. The most important thing in a startup, or let's say tomorrow I want to start a new venture, what I would do is first talk to 10, 15 potential users and just phone them up and say, what are some pain points that you're having today? Or what are some bottlenecks that you're having that could scale your company to 10x, 100x? And I would actually just take notes of all the bottlenecks that they have. For example, at that time, it was the price of a competing software. So they couldn't actually use tools because the tools were too expensive. That was a massive bottleneck. And then we saw there's a lot of patterns in these bottlenecks. It could be like there's just no tools, it's just too expensive, or it's hard to find people to hire, like humans are difficult to find. So we took those common pain points and we created a roadmap based off of the most annoying pain points to the least annoying pain points. We could actually draw a roadmap of like the first things that we should build. And that concept I copy paste into any new kind of idea or venture that I do is literally just call up 15 people before you start anything, because you might realize that either A, there is a problem, but people aren't willing to pay for it, or B, there is a massive problem and people actually have the money to pay for it. In that case, you go for it like 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'd
Then,
probably say that.
I mean, okay, then how did it feel moving from like Vancouver to London? Just the transition.
Yeah.
I think it's like two different countries.
Yeah. No, I actually moved from Vancouver to Munich. But yeah, the company that I'm working for is based in London, so I'm constantly there, like once a month, constantly traveling.
Okay.
I actually love Europe so much, and the timing was perfect because with North America, like I've spent my whole life there, made a lot of friends, but I think after spending a long amount of time in one place, you start to see the same problems over and over again. You get stuck in the same social circles over and over again. But by changing, I noticed so many different problems, for example, that exist in Europe that I would have never been exposed to by staying in North America. You get exposed to whole new social circles that you might be having the most like simple conversation with like some random accountant where something clicks that you realize that there's like a totally different problem that accountants have in Europe that they don't have in Canada. Okay, maybe there's like actually a business idea here, you know?
Yeah.
It's so important, I think, to constantly change your environment and surrounding. Otherwise, you get stuck. Like I notice sometimes I go back to like North America, and some of those people that I last saw like a year or two ago when I moved, they're still in like the same kind of environment, same social circles, same company, same whatever. And then you realize that like you're the one now bringing the new stories, like you're
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus that's gone to a new geography. So it's really cool because now you have something to share too with other people. You have new stories. No, I love it. It's amazing. Like now I can't wait to go somewhere else too.
But do you feel like it gets less relatable for your old circle the longer it goes?
Less
Like
relatable, like,
the more you're Christopher Columbus, doesn't it get harder for your old circle to relate? Because now you're going to be talking. I mean, going back to Christopher Columbus, you're talking about, oh, I
hmm
discovered North America, and they're
yeah.
like, well, I'm still in Europe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, those friendships kind of, unfortunately, they died because I'm not spending time with them. And it's less relatable because we have different stories and timelines, and people again are social beings. So if you can't see them in person, it's really hard to keep up the conversation. But I mean, life is short. So you just have to, I like change. I'm also like, my parents, they were people that constantly moved. We always moved houses. Things were always changing, like when I was a kid as well. So I think it's something that is really natural to me, and I crave change all the time. So to me, it's like a natural behavioral instinct, but to other people as well, it's not really natural. People actually like the stability and routine and staying somewhere their entire lives. So in that case, it's not relatable, but people appreciate the new stories and perspective, I think.
I think, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to hear their journey or wherever you want to
Yeah,
talk about? Yeah. Kind of curious. When your CEO actually introduced you, like into the company post, he did some. There was a quote about Steve Jobs and how, I guess, back in the day, the best people to actually use Macs were actually not engineers. They were actually artists. They were people in creative fields. And now you can take that whole thing full circle again and apply it to AI, where the best people to use
yeah,
AI is not technical people. It's actually most creative person because they can direct that in whatever way they want.
yeah,
So
100%.
yeah, I mean, how do you feel like it? I mean, one, you're being valued as an artist, and two, you're being valued for your skill.
hmm
How do you think, like, even, what do you think? Yeah. How do you felt?
No, it's a good thought. I mean, you know this really well as well. I learned a lot of AI stuff from you, I think. You're my AI mentor. But no, now that it's become to the point where AI's prompting can generate an app. So that prompt is the golden nugget of life itself. And if you're not creative, you can't come up with a prompt. You can ask Claude to come up with a prompt for you, but again, it's counter creative to do that. And
Or I mean, I think
yeah, go
not the
ahead.
prompt. It might be more so like the creative aspect comes in at knowing what to ask or knowing to even
Exactly.
ask something. Where someone like I would say, I don't like to call people uncreative, but it's just some
Yeah.
people might just say, oh, what do I do now? Where a creative person might just say, start typing something or asking or trying to find a different angle to that solution.
Yeah. Actually, if I take this like 100 steps back, when I was starting to use AI is literally when ChatGPT came out. I was like on it from day one. And the reason why I was so aggressive on it is because one, I was so frustrated with the speed of developers. So I would have an idea, like I'm really like creative in terms of ideas. I constantly have ideas. And to communicate that idea to a developer and that gets put into tickets and blah, 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 it would take months for that idea to come to life. And by that time, the entire excitement of the idea had left my body. When I realized that now you had ChatGPT that I could put my idea in there and it could come up with the spec that I could now actually pump into this new tool that my buddy had told me about, which at that time it was called GPT Engineer, which is now lovable. I was like the third user of it.
Wow.
So I realized that now I could have a tool that I would put the prompt into and it would generate the app for me. I could take that entire layer of communicating to developers, waiting 2 months, etc., into just seeing that whole thing in front of my eyes. That was where the magic hit. And I realized that, okay, anyone with a creative mindset, like slightly technical to understand what to prompt. Because at that time I knew about UX UI design. I knew that I needed this amount of padding on each side, what color buttons was visually appealing. I could create whatever I wanted.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, now it's like, it's easier because they've trained on creative data. But at the time, 3, 4 years ago, it was, you had to really prompt the creativity into generating web apps and all of this stuff. But now Claude Design, it innately knows that like yellow goes with blue or whatever.
Yeah. And it has like natural gradients and all that. It's
Yeah. So you don't even need to think about that stuff. But at that time, it had to be like, use 20% gradient, background, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
I mean, still, like, it creates it really well, but if you don't know what problem you're solving for, if you don't know the business case and all of this stuff,
Or
it's not useful.
yeah, even for me, sometimes like the technical thing comes down to knowing the right word to call something. And if you don't know
Yeah.
that word, like the agent's not going to understand what you mean. So it goes on trying to
Yeah,
figure out what you mean and doing something else. But yeah,
exactly. No, I'm even seeing agents now as, I think of them as interns from the start when you're creating your first, setting up your first agent.
yeah.
I think of them as an intern that's just got out of college. You need to prompt them and train them and turn them into the employee that you want them to be. So it's when I'm explaining AI to people who don't know about AI, that's what I say. I'm like, this new agent that we're creating for you is an intern that we need to train and turn into your employee.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That
so
actually
it's
makes,
like,
that's a good analogy, actually. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've had to come up with so many analogies because I'm in the private banking sector, which is quite antiquated. I mean, they missed the entire generation of SaaS, for example. We went from like really basic Excel sheets straight into AI. It's
Honestly, that's
crazy.
the best kind of jump to make, actually.
You
You
think
skip a
so?
lot of the extra expenses and I mean,
Integrations, yeah, that's
yeah, I
true.
think something that we're trying to go right now, we're trying to go into healthcare. And one of the things we're running into is actually like integrations. And
Yeah.
then, so it's like, and then for that, you also need a bunch of certifications or go into a bunch of these different, like another loophole. But yeah, that's something else I wanted to ask you about though. How did
Hmm.
you get into compliance? I think compliance
Yeah.
is one of the least sexy parts about tech, honestly. And how did you get into it and how do you guys work on it?
Yeah. I mean, one thing I love is to go after very boring problems because that's generally where there's very little competition. One thing we realized again just by talking to our first 10, 15 people, one of the guys was a compliance officer and he told us so many problems that he had that there was no tool for. So I was like, okay guys, we're going straight into this. This is like and plus they're quite, what do you call it? People that are willing to spend a lot of money for a solution. So it's perfect. That was like that option B that I was talking about of people that have a big problem with a lot of deep pockets to spend. So we went straight after compliance, and also the space in Europe is changing. There's a lot of regulations. Actually, the government is utilizing AI to catch people that are doing money laundering or falsifying transactions, etc. So it was this whole argument to our users of, look, the government is actually utilizing AI tools so they can catch you with your mistakes at 10 times the speed that your firm could catch your internal mistakes because you guys have no tooling. So if you want to compete with the big guys at the top, the government, then you guys need your own internal processes and tools and AI agents. So that you can catch it before they do. So it's like that was the selling point. And I think it's going to trickle that effect into various industries, like probably healthcare as well.
Yeah. I mean,
If
Canada's
yeah,
already started. They have
really.
they're creating I think the government put out a tender for a new EMR system, basically to replace everything they have, but or all the different monopolies that's going on in Canada.
Yeah, see, like when the government has those tools and as a small boutique, let's say, practice, you don't, how are they going to communicate with each other? The
Yeah.
government's tools with the, like you're going to be now forced to use tooling so that you can communicate with the government systems.
Exactly. Just for even billing and all the
Exactly.
random things that, come up. Then
Yeah.
kind of curious how you got into sales too. I think I was
Yeah.
seeing like you went from product to randomly sales for, yeah. How was doing sales?
That's the startup
And how did you get
life.
into it?
When you're in a startup, you have to do every single thing from sales to marketing to everything. Yeah, I mean, how we got into it was, I don't know how I saw this idea, but I think it might have been one of our competitors. I realized that they were doing these client launch groups, which is essentially getting people together in a room to talk about AI and to educate people on AI. And my sales journey, I guess, started there for Wealth AI. It was, let's get people in a room because I realized there's a massive knowledge gap with AI. So we created an event. We got people together in a room. We just talked about AI. There was no sales. There's nothing.
One sec. Let me
Oh,
just kick my dog out.
no worries. So cute. So cute. Where was I? Yeah, so creating these launch groups. So with sales, I think with the AI generation that's happening now, the biggest thing is education, especially if you're dealing with a really antiquated industry like healthcare or banking or whatnot. The end users, they don't really know much about AI. So if you get them empowered and you're their knowledge partner of like how to use AI, that's a really sticky relationship because they're now dependent on you to understand AI. That was how we actually created a community around compliance officers. And we created this natural word of mouth effect. And that allowed us to have this relationship, which, with sales, the most important thing is a relationship. And that led us to having sales quite naturally.
So I mean, how did you get into it though? Were you just, was it,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm kind of curious because you moved from CPO and then like in a traditional startup, you can, I guess a CPO is basically a replacement for a CEO in my opinion. But like, because your job mostly it overlaps, but I mean, a CEO, I guess that's how you move into, kind of curious how you went from there to sales because it was more like technical product, right?
Yeah. I mean, with product, it's doing
Talking to
CPO
customers.
work. You got to just generally demo all the time your product to new prospects, new people. And a demo is like generally what you have to do on a a sales call. And I'm the person that knows the product best because I designed it and ideated it and all that stuff. So especially when you're dealing with users that have all their pain points, I'm the person that's talked to those users from the beginning. So I know exactly what their pain points are. So after talking to them for like 10, 15 minutes, I know exactly which feature I've created would match to their pain point because I've been down this road since the beginning. But if you get like a fresh off the bat salesperson, that would require a lot of training to understand the product we're selling, their pain points. And we're just like such a small team. And I'm that person that's gone through that from the beginning. So it was like, okay, I'm the pain point master. I'm the product master. Okay, it's the sale now. You kind of just learn the rest from there. It's like
Yeah,
a order form, MSA. You learn the technical part of it as you go through it. But it's the nature of being in a startup. Like you kind of have to be everything.
that makes sense. Then I'm kind of curious what Wealth AI actually does. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
anywhere near a wealth manager. So what do you guys actually do for wealth managers, family offices, and private banks?
So what we created, what we realized was there's so many point solutions on the market at the time when we like launched this idea. So we wanted to combine all those point solutions that these wealth managers, family offices had into a single operating system. So pipe all of those integrations into one place, like their banking information, their client data, their CRMs, everything, and then add that intelligence layer, so a chat interface that they could query and make sense of all of that data in the system in one place. And we also, for example, built like an in-house note taker so we can handle the entire life cycle of a wealth management firm from getting the first sale to getting that first, like, let's say, discovery call, onboarding the client with all that information from that first call, the note taker, creating all their onboarding forms, and that gets sent off to the next team, which is like the KYC checking. That's all piped in from another integration. And then at the end of the day, the CEO has all of that data in one place. He can just go to like what we call the assistant, which is that chat interface, They can type in that chat and say, okay, what's actually happening in my firm? And you'll have an answer because everything is connected to one place. So we're the operating system of AI operating system, essentially, in the finance wealth management space.
That makes sense. And I guess going to, product market fit
Mm-hmm.
and going back to compliance, I guess finance is one of those heavily regulated industries. Compliance is
Yeah.
all over it. And honestly, people are probably very conservative, risk averse, pretty slow moving. So
Yeah.
yeah, how do you know when like the product actually makes sense for them or if they're just like, I feel like a lot of these types of industries, they might, I don't know, I guess you can talk from your experience.
Yeah. Do you mean in terms of the sales process or?
Yeah, the sales process in terms of how do you even I guess stick something unregulated. I'm assuming you guys aren't that regulated yet, but that in front of them, how do you like? Yeah,
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. No, the interesting thing is within wealth management firms or private banks, et cetera, you have many different people starting to dabble with tools like Claude, like ChatGPT. And the compliance teams in these companies are just terrified that there's so much potential, very sensitive data going into public LLMs because these guys don't know how to set it up in a very secure way where the data won't leak into a public LLM. So once we go to the kind of top level people and say, the risk of this stuff going into the public internet, like your very sensitive client data information, is just not worth it. So we'll give you a very secure AI to give your team that they can use. So they have that feeling of we're using AI, we're being efficient, things are automated without the risk of AI. So that's a really good point in terms of connecting with them for that. Like they realize they have to use it. They realize that their point solutions are a mess and they need something to like aggregate into one place. And you go into them, you like ask what's their tech stack is right now, and they will list like 100 tools. So if you can go to them and say, okay, we can knock out like 40 of those within this platform and then pipe the rest of them together into this one operating system that you can query and you can use AI securely. It's like, okay, wow, mind blown.
hmm.
Yeah, it's
I guess that makes
interesting.
sense. Then, kind of curious how you see, I guess, wealth management changing if whatever, I guess, the operating system
Mm-hmm.
works as planned in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, a big part of it is layoffs, like junior roles. A lot of them can be supplemented with AI agents, AI employees. That's one thing. So it becomes more, again, like what's happening with every single industry, the creative people that can query data, make sense of data, and deliver that information to the client and manage that client relationship. Those are the people that will stick in front of the wealth in the wealth management industry. But the people that are more on the data aggregation side in these firms, that side of things that requires less of the creative skills,
More
those will
technical.
definitely get replaced. Exactly. The more
Yeah.
technical. Yeah. And then you'll just have one kind of small team managing the operating system instead of many different people creating like automations because it'll just all be managed by AI agents.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah, I don't
mean,
know
if,
when AGI comes in. That's a you
yeah,
maybe
honestly,
question.
I felt like we were at AGI a while ago, but I don't know if it's just marketing at this point or what it's going to look like. Because I feel like when OpenClaw came out, we were basically like, oh, wow, this is AGI. And then I think we're just pushing the bar up for what AGI should be over time. But I guess we'll find
Yeah.
out.
I mean, you need this human relationship piece in wealth management, especially when you're dealing with ultra high net worth people. They want to be wined and dined. So that main sales guy that is going to tell them about their portfolio, their performance, asking them about their assets, if they want to buy a new house, etc., how that will affect their portfolio. That guy, that relationship manager, he will always exist no matter what AI comes out. Like
Kind
someone
of,
will not talk to a robot, I think, for this stuff.
yeah, kind of curious. Is that because I recently, I mean, I went to a Bitcoin conference or like a crypto conference recently. I think, I guess the types of wealthy people in crypto are a little bit different from the wealthy people in Europe, or is it just because I feel like most of the people within the crypto space, at least, they're like they would rather not be known that how much what they have, if they're rich, what they like. It's a lot more self-custodial, and like they would rather deal with it themselves and have like a third party. So is this more of a European thing you're noticing, or because in North America I'm seeing super distrust towards government, super distrust towards banks, but I don't know how it is in Europe.
It's a very, very good question. I mean, as the regulations are increasing, as now, like I was saying, the governments are using tools to catch people for money laundering, this stuff is increasing. Actually, I'm noticing a lot of really wealthy families, they're opening their own single family offices where they just employ one guy who's like a bit of a technical guy, operations guy, to handle the family wealth privately. And in this case, you actually don't need to report a lot of your stuff to the government and stuff. It's kind of a way to be very private with your wealth. But again, if you're using a bank and whatnot, you could potentially be exposed. And let's say a firm gets catched by the government for money laundering or whatnot, then they have to expose and rip apart all of the clients in that firm, which now people are really worried about those things. So if they're a wealthy family, like you said with these crypto guys, they'll just hire one or two people and what is called a single family office to manage that family's wealth very privately, like themselves. So that is a very interesting direction that I do see is happening right now. It's a trend that's happening where people are getting out of banks and using this stuff. But this is for ultra high net worth.
Yeah, and I feel like that helps Wealth AI in what you're trying to do, right? When
Exactly. Yeah.
I guess you get to a point where everyone wants their own bank or becomes their own bank, having your
Yeah.
own operating system is
No,
useful.
100%. Yeah. If you have the tooling to do it, why not? And it also enables, like, let's say, advisors to have something with super simple UX where they can add more clients and they don't need to now add, like, have an office. They don't need to have a bunch of employees that sit at a desk because they'll all just have, like, the right technology and tooling to get their job done.
That makes sense. Then
Mm-hmm.
I guess going back to music, I guess you're at 4 million streams
Love
and it's
it.
still climbing, and you're doing that still alongside your career. So kind of curious if you're planning a next release, I guess what your plans are with
Love it.
music.
Yeah. No, it's so crazy doing so many things and also finding time to exercise and play tennis and hobbies. But yeah, no, I realized that like in my hobby, my main purpose and happiness in life, it's being a bit swallowed up by startup stuff. So I'm gonna do a week with one of my buddies where we just fully detach from the world, play some tunes, record some music, and then hopefully I will get like 5, 6 songs out where I can then just put into the world and create some reels. Unfortunately, we have to create reels in this day and age
Yeah,
that we're at to pump it
that's the
out.
hardest
But
part.
yeah.
Just like going and not even just creating the reels, like posting them is another half.
Yeah, now we're battling with AI. Like, for
Yeah.
example, in Turkey, I was in the taxi the other day. I heard this song. I was like, wow, this is incredible. I like Shazammed it. And then I researched it. It's like the most trending song in Turkey. It's created with AI. So we're dealing with, as musicians, it's like creative war. I call it like,
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
don't know if
insane.
I've used Suno. I think Suno also lets you put in your own voices, your own stuff inside. You should check it out. And it's
Yeah,
really
I know.
cheap,
I've
by the
tried
way.
Suno. It's so cheap. I don't like it because it just
You're an
made everything
artist.
so simple. Yeah,
Yeah, you're an
I'm an
artist.
artist. And no, yeah, like the production's quite basic, but honestly, people like that now. That's what's trending. Like just throw an Afro beat and some vocals on it, and everyone in Saint Tropez is gonna be like, let's go. So that's what the people want. So if you're like a musician, I wouldn't even call it a musician, but if you're in like the music business trying to get a lot of streams, it honestly works because people like the simple, like dependable beat and simple vocals. There's like a math behind it actually of how songs go viral, and Suno's trained on that. So you can get viral songs 100%. But if you're a musician that likes the creative process and blah, 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 want to create something original, honestly, it doesn't get as many streams as AI anymore. It's crazy.
Wouldn't this be
It's
really
insane.
good for clubs?
Yeah, like club
Like,
music
why
right
would you
now
pay
is,
a DJ at this point, right?
you know what Diplo is? I don't know if you know Diplo,
Yeah, the
but
DJ?
yeah, DJ. Yeah, I mean, if I'll get shit for this, but no, he uses Suno as well. Like he's trained his own account to understand his style. There's a very unique prompt for him, and it will generate music exactly in his style, exactly with his vocals. This is what someone told me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I know. I
that's
googled it. It's for sure a thing.
it's for sure a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is what now artists are doing because there's so much training information on there. You can just tell the AI agent to say, bro, go look at all my releases in the last 10 years and just make something like along those lines. It's already like a trained model at that point.
I think that's why Taylor Swift even said she like took her voice off of everything, right? You can't use her
Really? No,
name
I
or
didn't know
voice to
that.
train any model.
Yeah, and there's a hidden user agreement thing within Spotify for artists that someone told me about that it hides that it's going to train your songs for AI. So you actually have to go in and like email them saying, no, I don't want this. Otherwise, it's by default. They're training your music. That's why Suno is so good.
That makes sense, actually. And
Same.
now, if you go through YouTube, a lot of the popular songs are actually AI songs, and you can't tell until pretty later on.
Yeah. I mean, Spotify's trying now. They're like, we're removing AI songs, but I don't know if it's true. Who knows?
So I guess this is my last question.
Yeah.
I usually like to end it with at the end of your career. I feel like anyone who tries to starts building a startup, anyone who wants to be, I mean, even you, when you say you want to be the main character, you want to be the main character. You want to do something in your life beyond
Yeah.
just what we're talking about. So I'm kind of curious what that like. I guess the end goal, because there's music, there's business, there's product, there's probably a vision. You have a manifestation board, but I feel like
Yeah.
there's things that build up over time, and there's probably a bigger goal that you see, and I'm kind of curious about that bigger goal.
Yeah, no, I want to have like a huge exit. I haven't had a huge exit before in any of the startups, so that's definitely a big goal in terms of career. And yeah, probably the other classic stuff like having a Porsche and a yacht and just living life to the max every day and no regrets. At the time I'm 90 years old, I want to be super comfortable and I have a no regret life.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
How about you? I wonder what yours
What
is.
do I want to do?
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to do too much. I wanted to change the world. I wanted to burn the world down at one point.
Jeez. You're like
It's
your
like
AI agent, Lucifer.
no, I mean honestly, it's like I got to a point where I kind of hated the world. I hated everything. I mean, I hated the way a lot of the people, businesses, governments, everything were thinking, the way people
Yeah,
design the world, and it's like wow, it's bad down to its core. It's not down to like so at
exactly.
that. It's like you have to change the underlying thinking of how people approach something, which is honestly really hard to do. And I'm like, let's see if this is something we can try. And that was the one thing. And then now it's just more like building a world that I actually want to live in.
How do you do that?
Honestly, we're trying. I feel like you won't really know until you just like try.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's your outlet to do that? Is that like through the podcast and
Like
startups
to
and
actually build the whole thing.
yeah,
The reason why I made it a venture studio for Useful Ventures was
yeah,
I think each of the different ventures I want should be building the world I want in a way. So like the EMR medical system should be building like the medical side of the thing. I wanted to have a farm at one point in my life, and I wanted that to be like an agroponic farm or hydroponic farm for, lettuce. And just because I can do certain things and the technology is available, but the world can be better, but you have to like design it. You can't just pray the world gets better. I feel like that never works out.
yeah. That's amazing. Wow, I never knew that. It's so cool. Love it. Keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. And it was great having you on the podcast. I'll just stop recording and then we can
Okay.